Universal Design. Chapter 2. Approach to plinth. Every building should have at least one entrance accessible to the handicapped and shall be indicated by proper signage. This entrance shall be approached through a ramp together with the stepped entry. 1. Ramped approach. 2. Stepped approach. Ramped approach. Ramp shall be finished with non-slip material to enter the building. Minimum width or ramp shall be 1800 mm, with maximum gradient 112. Length of ramp shall not exceed 9.0 m, having double handrail at a height of 800 and 900 mm on both sides, extending 300 mm beyond top and bottom of the ramp. Minimum gap from the adjacent wall to the handrail shall be 50 mm. Cross-section of ramp. When climbing a ramp in a wheelchair, the upper limbs must bear the burden of propelling the body up the ramp. When descending a ramp in a wheelchair, especially on steep ramps, there is a possibility of the wheelchair running out of control because the user must manually control the speed. Prevent the installation of steep ramps. Make sure the grade of a ramp is a moderate rise of 10 mm to each 120 mm of travel. Provide a flat surface 1500 mm or more in length at the top and bottom of the ramp for a wheelchair to pause and prevent it from going out of control. Cross-section of ramp. When climbing a ramp in a wheelchair, the upper limbs must bear the burden of propelling the body up the ramp. When descending a ramp in a wheelchair, especially on steep ramps, there is a possibility of the wheelchair running out of control because the user must manually control the speed. Prevent the installation of steep ramps. Make sure the grade of a ramp is a moderate rise of 10 mm to each 120 mm of travel. Provide a flat surface 1500 mm or more in length at the top and bottom of the ramp for a wheelchair to pause and prevent it from going out of control. Standard design for approach to paint with ramp and handrail details. Stepped approach. For stepped approach, size of tread shall not be less than 300 mm, and maximum riser shall be 150 mm. Provision of 900 mm high handrail on both sides of the stepped approach similar to the ramped approach. Entrance landing. Entrance landing shall be provided adjacent to ramp with the minimum dimension 1800 by 2000 mm. The entrance landing that join the top end of a slope shall be provided with floor materials to attract the attention of visually impaired persons, limited to colored floor material whose color and brightness is conspicuously different from that of the surrounding floor material or the material that emit different sound to guide visually impaired persons, hereinafter referred to as guiding floor material. Finishes shall have a non-slip surface with a texture traversable by a wheelchair. Curbs wherever provided should blend to a common level. Corridor. Corridor connecting the entrance/exit for the handicapped. The corridor connecting the entrance/exit for handicapped leading directly outdoors to a place where information concerning the overall use of the specified building can be provided to visually impaired persons either by a person or by signs, shall be provided as follows. Guiding floor materials shall be provided or devices that emit sound to guide visually impaired persons. The minimum width shall be 1500 mm. In case there is a difference of level, slopeways shall be provided with a slope of 112. Handrails shall be provided for ramps/slopeways. Required width for passage of wheelchair. The wheelchair body itself is about 650 mm wide. Allowing for the use of hands and arms outside the wheelchair, the passage must be as wide as 900 mm or more. Locations such as entrances and exits can be 900 mm wide. However, a continuous passage, for example a corridor, must at least be 900 mm wide to allow for slight side-to-side movement of the wheelchair as it travels. Required width to turn a wheelchair. The diagram on the right shows the space required to turn a wheelchair. Protruding objects, such as directional signs, tree branches, wires, guy ropes, public telephone booths, benches and ornamental fixtures should be installed with consideration of the range of a visually impaired person's cane. On the left is the accessible corridor widths for diverse contexts. On top is the dimension and space requirement for accessible corridor, and to the left is the standard space design when there is any protruding object in corridor, entrance/exit door. Minimum clear opening of the entrance door shall be 900 mm, and it shall not be provided with a step that obstructs the passage of a wheelchair user. Threshold shall not be raised more than 12 mm. Wherever possible, power or sensor-operated door shall be provided for buildings with higher occupancy load. The automatic doors should be configured with manual operation in case of any power failure. Wherever revolving doors or turnstiles are installed, they should be supplemented with an auxiliary side-hung, swing-type door with 900 mm minimum clear opening width. Bathroom, toilets/washroom doors should swing out/should be two-way opening type so that the person inside does not fall against the door and block it. In case there is not much space available, consideration should be given to the use of sliding or folding doors, which are easier to operate and require less wheelchair maneuvering space. Automatic doors should have a push-button system to open them. The door should not be of a highly polished/reflective material such as stainless steel. The door color must be in contrast with the door frame or the wall. All external doors should have warning blocks installed 300 mm before entrances. If there is a revolving door, an alternative door shall be provided. Automatic doors are preferred for public building entrance. Clear width. The minimum clear opening of doorways should be 900 mm, measured between the face of the door and the face of the door stop with the door open at 90 degrees. Clear width and standard doorway sizes for wheelchair users for swing door and sliding door. Standard doorway sizes for wheelchair users for swing door with clearance height for handles, doorbell, information signage and kick plate. Windows. A window should have handies, controls at a height that permits use from wheelchairs. A window should have an unobstructed viewing zone for wheelchair users. Curtain or Venetian blind controls/ropes should be accessible for wheelchair users. All building typologies shall place their window systems while keeping provision of adequate maneuvering spaces for wheelchairs, baby strollers, etc. in the zone of window and its operability. Window sills shall not be higher than 800 mm, keeping in view wheelchair users or persons with short height statures. They should provide an unobstructed viewing zone for wheelchair users between 750 mm and 1400 mm. Windows should have handles and other controls up to a maximum height of 1200 mm. Windows or openings in high-rise buildings shall consider providing guardrails around sill levels to provide support and prevent falls. Window opening should not cause an obstruction to a moving person, especially persons with visual impairments, and steps and stairs. Persons with ambulant disabilities, persons with neurodiversity, elderly, children or pregnant women may find it challenging to use staircases under regular conditions with a need for special adaptation or support. Stairs should not be the only means of moving between floors. They should be supplemented by lifts and or ramps. Treads should be 300 mm deep and risers not higher than 150 mm. Each flight of stairs shall have a maximum of 12 steps. Open risers and transparent treads are not recommended for any staircase design. The stairs landing should be minimally 1200 mm deep. The landing must be free of all obstacles and the dimensions should be clear of any door opening. The stairs should have a minimum clear width of 1500 mm. Steps should be of a consistent height and depth throughout the staircase. Projecting nosing and open stairs should not be provided to minimize the risk of stumbling. It is recommended to avoid providing spiral stairs. Handrail for stairs should extend not less than 300 mm beyond the top and bottom step. Be mounted at two levels, i.e. 600 mm to 750 mm for lower handrail and 900 mm to 1000 mm for upper handrail. Have tactile and braille signs installed. Stairs and ramps with a change in level greater than 500 mm must have continuous handrails on both sides with a 300 mm horizontal extension at its ends. When the stair widths are greater than 2100 mm, an additional intermediate handrail should be installed. The width between intermediate handrails should be at most 2100 mm. Warning blocks should be installed 300 mm before the beginning and 300 mm after the end of each flight of steps to aid people with visual impairments. Ramps. Internal ramps shall be easily locatable and be near to other alternate means of vertical circulation like staircase, lifts, etc. Adequate signage system in contrasting colors shall guide individuals to the ramps inside the building premises. Tactile guiding systems shall guide the persons with visual impairments to the beginning of ramp from the main entrance of the buildings. The flooring surfaces shall be non-slippery and shall align to the floor finishes of the floors at both levels. The floor joinery between the ramp and the connecting floor needs to be carefully integrated, ensuring a smooth transition, avoiding water collection. Other features like provision of mid-landings, edge protections, etc. should be as per standard. Handrails shall be placed at 2 levels with tactile or braille signs at the handrail extensions indicating floor levels. Typical details of L-shaped ramp with steps. Wherever lift is required as per bylaws, provision of at least one lift shall be made for the wheelchair user with the following cage dimensions of lift recommended for passenger lift of 13 persons capacity by Bureau of Indian Standards. A handrail not less than 600 mm. long at 800 to 1000 mm. Above floor level shall be fixed adjacent to the control panel. The lift lobby shall be of an inside measurement of 1800 by 1800 mm or more. The time of an automatically closing door should or minimum 5 seconds and the closing speed should not exceed 0.25 m/sec. The interior of the cage shall be provided with a device that audibly indicates the floor the cage has reached and indicates that the door of the cage for entrance/exit is either open or closed. Clear internal depth, 1100 mm, clear internal width, 2000 mm, entrance door width, 900 mm. Accessible lift car layout and controls for wheelchair users. Typical section of an accessible lift car and controls standard design.